I wanted to kind of use this opportunity for my martial arts to talk to you, to kind of have it on record of, so what are the things that need to be worked out when it comes to martial arts? Okay, I'm going to go with what I think, and you fill in the gaps. Is that all right?
Yep.
So right now, I want to be good at martial arts, and I'm working on rock climbing because it's my understanding is I want to work on back, core, footwork is somewhat useful as well, but also that flexibility, and I think there's the pulling. So a lot of I climb very dynamically. You know, I have a friend who is skinnier than I am and has better finger strength than I am, and can climb more of those complicated climbs. But I'll be stronger at climbing the big climbs, you know, because I like to climb more dynamically. I want to build that strength, and that's how it applies. I translate that to my martial arts. Then I also obviously train actual martial arts because you can only get better by doing. I also do a bit of dodgeball, you know that, and recently I picked up the idea is I'm trying to strengthen my hands, my punches. I only learned recently that bone density increases as you load and throw, so I can see how that's gonna help. It goes my understanding goes above me, and just my muscles need to be strong, but bone as well. It's good, put force behind the punches. Also picked up a bit of cycling with the understanding that I'm conditioning my legs, which is useful because I do like kicking. And then also got the intention of getting some swimming in there as well, the idea for the cardio. Also, I get my cardio from climbing because of the way I climb. I climb very exhaustingly, which is good. My cardio is built up so good. I can go to days about talking about that. But yeah, getting swimming in because it's got. I like the breathing technique that swimming gives you. I feel like it's so important. I think my martial arts or my sparring has upped because I've been practicing how to breathe better, breathing through my nose more, forcing that air, get the oxygen to my brain. So yeah, swimming, I think it's really good for that breathing, cardio, but also the workout itself, like the legs, the back and arms are very, I feel like very good. They're things that I'd want to have strengthened if I were to go into like a sparring.
Yep.
So where do you think, with what I've mentioned, do you think I've left out anything with that I should be working on?
Okay. So if we look at your body biomechanically, all of those sports or movements that you're going to be doing have some commonalities. You need to first and foremost have a good foundation. What is this foundation? It's your core. Your core's responsibility is to connect your upper and lower body, force production and distribution throughout your body. Stable spine. Okay. Stable spine ensures that you can move your limb, upper and lower limbs, and connect them. And most importantly, allow for movement. If you have a weak core, you will overwork shoulder and hips, and then you will lose movement. Mostly because shoulder and hips are where your movement's supposed to come from, but they are busy trying to stabilize your body and not allowing for the actual movement to happen. So strong core allows your shoulder and hips to provide you more movement. Martial arts, rock climbing, swimming, cycling, throwing, dodgeball.
Yeah, I've just seen the core workout of someone who throws well.
Yeah. You're not throwing while you're in the air. You have to generate the force through your legs, which have ground reaction force has to drive through your body into your arms before the ball gets launched. Okay, it's just the energy distribution. For that to happen, you have to have a strong core. Now, what branches from your core is your shoulder and your hips. Strong glute muscles, mobile hips, mobile and flexible. Strong shoulder blade, stable shoulder blade, mobile shoulder joint. That allows for maximal range of motion, movement, extreme ranges. You need strength. Mobility is a combination of flexibility and strength. So having mobility in those joints allows you to move through increased range of motion, but also have strength through it. So that's where you need to address mobility. Stability in the trunk, stability in those joints, mobility in those joints too. If you could just focus on those alone, you'll start to develop strength in your limbs, your lower, your legs, your quads, hamstrings. Your knees will be stable. Knees will be strong. Your feet will be stable. Your ankles will be stable, allowing you to put more force through them without overstressing any particular joint, without spraining your ankles, spraining your toes, stubbing your toe, that kind of stuff. Now you've generated a lot of force through your lower body. That force is going to go somewhere, and it's going to drive through your core. It's going to go to your upper body. It's going to allow you to drive those punches. It's going to allow you to make those pulls in rock climbing. Pulls or pushes, depends on the technique you're applying. For swimming, allowing you to coordinate your arm and legs during the strokes.
Again, core is very important.
Yeah, well. Core is connecting it all together. All the ones where you're generating force through your legs and it's coming out through the arms, you'll need now upper body strength. So you'll need your musculature in your arms, musculature in your hands, especially when you're doing the fine motor skills, trying to grip onto rocks. Whether it be using your fingers, whether in your hands, different hand positions.
Everything's linked.
Yeah, it's
even
all
that
linked.
Need for finger strength is like that, especially your arms.
Yeah,
if your
exactly.
hand's not strong, like you can have the best fingers, but if your wrist is crap,
Exactly right.
So, how are you gonna put your weight in that?
And not just that. So your body is not just hanging off by a finger; it's hanging off by your arm, which is connected to your shoulder. So, which is connected to your trunk. So if your trunk is not strong, then your shoulder can't stabilize really well. It can't really hold you up. And if your shoulder can't, then your arm muscles won't be able to, and then eventually you just hang off your finger. But say all that is strong, you've now generated the force through and through. You're now using bigger muscles to carry a bigger load. So bigger muscles are able to carry a bigger load. Smaller muscles are designed to do smaller motions. So
more intricate ones.
Exactly.
More specific.
So you're not going to try to massive load through a muscle that's designed to do a small motion. So having that strength through your body is helpful for that. Now, rock climbing alone isn't just arms alone. It's you use your lower body to generate force from one rock to another.
Footwork's so important.
Exactly right. And if you are not able to generate force through your legs because you positioned yourself incorrectly or your mobility wasn't there to get into the position, it's a lot more work for your arms. So you're now climbing and it's purely arms, and if you don't have the strength for it, then you'll overstress those muscles, right? Or you'll fatigue very early. But say you know how to generate that force, you have the mobility in your hips, you have the strength in your legs, significantly a lot less pressure on your arms, you can move and continue to climb for a lot longer. That's just rock climbing. But martial arts is very similar. If you generate your forces through your legs, the force that ends up in your arm, you don't have to work hard to produce a huge amount of force.
Get it there, because like everything else foundationally has reached.
Exactly. So you've just
launched
it's
from
just
the best
launched out of your hand.
And and that's where the conditioning comes in to make sure things are hard and you don't break.
Exactly right.
And the rest is impact.
When you do any resistance training or load-bearing activities, you improve bone density. Not just bone density, but the density of connective tissue. So that's your ligaments and fascia,
muscle,
tendons of your muscles.
Okay.
The muscles itself will also intensify under load,
of course,
because they have to adapt to the new load. So when everything gains strength and density, they can take more impact, take more load, and reduce the amount of incoming damage. So say you're throwing a really heavy punch, upon impact you'll do less stress to the bones, connective tissue and muscles. You'll feel less pain, allowing you to continue to go more and more and more. And you continue to adapt when you push the intensity of your training sessions.
Yeah, hence you get the effect that you're trying to achieve. You know, how fast you punch, how hard you, or how strong you hit.
Correct.
What I want to do actually, let me regurgitate what you just said about the whole connecting, because I want to see if I got it right. So basically, the importance being that core. Start with that, because that's connected to the shoulders and the hips. And once you make sure your core is up to par, your shoulders and your hips, did you say that they were structurally there? You make them move, but they're not to say that they're not meant to move, but they're meant to hold things in place, right?
They hold your limbs in place.
Yep.
But the sockets, the anatomy of your shoulder and your hip is a ball and socket. Allows you to move in a huge amount of range.
Yep.
Okay. So they're designed to move. But first they have to be stable. So the ball and socket, the ball needs to be in the socket. The ball being the end of your thigh bone or your arm bone, your humerus. For it to be stable, it will keep the ball in the socket, and then you'll gain the range of motion. Otherwise, you have a ball that just jumps around. You're at risk of dislocations.
Okay, and you don't get the effect you want. And then,
So
but when you get the correct movement, that's when the working out happens, the muscle. And you mentioned, and I think you said hamstrings, ligaments, things like that. That's where the muscle happens. And so hence that importance of that stable core, trunk, you said, that all connects. And if you have it wrong at the start, then things go haywire. You don't achieve the result you want. You don't get the muscle workout that you want, and then you're more likely to dislocate an injury and things like that because you're coming off the wrong thing.
Correct, because if you have a weak foundation, those joints or muscles or parts of your body just take extra load, extra stress. You have to work harder to apply force. So upon impact or upon loading, they'll be overworked, overstressed, risk of injury. Doesn't mean you're guaranteed an injury. It's just at a certain point when they just can't take any more, you will injure them or damage them.
Yep. You made yourself susceptible.